What are you doing?
Filming?
Pictures of us?
Yeah.
Can I get your badge number?
0016.
Cool.
Is it shiny enough for you?
It's very shiny.
All right. Give me your driver's license, Mr. Fifth Amendment rights.
You filming right now?
I am.
How come?
He's got the camera on. He's got the camera on me right now as we're talking.
I'm Andrew Henderson. I'm active with Minnesota Copwatch. I'm active with Communities United Against Police Brutality to shine the public light on police misdeeds. I'll never stop doing this. I'll never stop having this interest. I got involved with these ideas when I lived in the north end of St. Paul. I saw an incident of police brutality outside my home where a gentleman was pepper sprayed in the face and then kicked in the chest by the police. And as he was being put in the patrol car, they emptied a can of pepper spray into his ear. At this point, I saw that filming the police was an effective tactic and started doing that in my own community. At first, very covertly from my bedroom window, taking pictures and filming police incidences, and then gradually moved up to getting out there on the street with a camera in my hand. And you never know when something's going to happen. So I pretty much carry a camera wherever I go. I definitely think that it's a necessity in today's world. If you think back to the Rodney King video, to have a video camera at that time, you had to have a lot of money. They were expensive, they were big, people couldn't carry them around, and now we all do. So I think that's why people are feeling the need more and more, is because they're seeing all these videos with all this egregious behavior from law enforcement personnel, and realizing that yes, they need to film, they need to document their interactions and the interactions of others, not only keep themselves safe, but to keep their community safe. When I first got involved, I reached out to Minnesota Copwatch, and they were happy to work with me. At this time, I was actually going through trial for filming police, so there was that interest out there. I also became involved with Communities United Against Police Brutality, which is a great Minneapolis organization. I've since become their Copwatch coordinator, and I teach a lot of Copwatch trainings to various communities through them. And it's a great experience, great organization to become involved with. If you live in the Twin Cities area, I definitely suggest you check them out. They have meetings every Saturday at 1:30 at 4200 Cedar Avenue in South Minneapolis. I want to educate others on how to do this, so that this idea will continue long after I'm gone. If you'd like a Know Your Rights training or a Copwatch training, you can get a hold of me through my website or at TheDrewks@gmail.com. All my trainings are free. I don't charge for the information at all. I can train small groups, large groups, anything from a community organization to a church group. I've been doing a lot of that. A lot of court support where I go to court with people, walk them through legal land, help them get a public defender, be there for moral support. Recently, I bought a former squad car, black and white, and I have the back covered in stickers for people, to look up things like copwatch.org, jury nullification sticker, antiwar.com. I think I have a We Copwatch sticker on there, a Cell 411 sticker. I use this as primarily an outreach vehicle. I have the center console filled with different flyers for things like jury nullification, don't take the plea, know your rights. When I see someone and they ask about the car, I can load them up with information. The more you can expand your mind with different ideas, I think the more effective your tactics get, and the more easy they become to you to adapt new tactics on the spot. So I say educate yourself as much knowledge as you can. My most influential, of course, is copwatch.org. I spent hours on that website when I was, just getting started out. Watched as many videos as I could. Photography is not a crime. We Copwatch. Those are the main ones that influenced me. Different podcast series are great too, such as Ben Stone's Beyond Civil Disobedience series. that is probably one of my most influential podcasts I've ever heard. Freedom Fiends is another great resource. Good podcast, lots of information, varying topics. Anything on Free Talk Live is great. And I think that mainstream media gets most of their ideas from these, from these sites like Copwatch or Photography is Not a Crime, or the Free Thought Project, stuff like that, and pick up on it that way. I see the growth of police accountability moving at an exponential rate right now. I really do, and it's amazing. I can remember, 5 years ago when I started, filming police and having interest in this, it was a very taboo subject. Nobody wanted to discuss it. People thought you just hated cops, and people generally did not understand it. And today everybody's doing it. Everybody knows about it. Everybody has an interest in it. And I'm very, very happy to see that. The first time that you go filming, it's going to be scary. It's going to be hard. I remember looking back at my first video. My hand was shaking. It was with my cell phone, and the entire video was just shaking because I was that nervous. I had that much adrenaline rushing through me. Filming police, it's not something most people do every day, so it can be a little intimidating for most and scary. But I promise it gets easier. Every time you do it, it'll get easier and easier, and it'll become more of a normalcy. You'll just know what to do. You won't be scared. You'll be there for the community. You'll be there for the person getting accosted by a man in a costume with a badge, and you will create change. You will make that incident better by just being there with that camera. Having that independent witness going on. There's a lot of tactics today that I wish I would have used 4 years ago when I had my camera taken away. I wish I would have used Bamboozer. I wish I would have live streamed that interaction, and had a copy of the footage saved on a different server. I wish I would have had cell 411. I wish that someone could have came to my aid right then. I use cell 411 all the time now. I attended a Citizens Academy through the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office. And this was about 5 years ago. This was just before one of their employees took away my camera, and I went through a 18-month court process, fighting charges levied against me for simply filming, police activity. And I went to the Citizens Academy class, and a couple classes in, I asked a question that was pretty hard for them, or a couple questions that were pretty hard for them to answer. And I got a letter from them in the mail a few days later saying that I was no longer welcome on the property, and I couldn't go to their Citizens Academy class anymore. So I mean that shows me the level of transparency that police departments really have. You can try to go to one, but if you ask any real questions, they either won't be able to answer them or they'll kick you out. I worry about police officers today. I worry about their future moral injury. And if a police officer is watching this, think about how you're going to feel at the end of life. When you're on your deathbed and you're thinking about these horrible things that you did to people, these unnatural things, just because you were told to do so, just because it was your job, how are you going to feel? Are you going to be okay with this, or are you going to have this remorse? Explore your conscience. Think is what you're doing right, or is it just to earn that paycheck? I mean, not every law is righteous. Legislation is not a substitute for morality at all. Locking someone in a cage, or making them pay you money for possessing a plant is just plain wrong. And my motivation is to help people understand that. I want people to take control of their own lives, to own themselves, rather than be subjected to bad legislation under horrible rule. So I'm hoping to move people's mindsets towards that ultimate goal of personal liberty.
If I end up on YouTube, I'm going to be upset.